the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, approval of the agenda. I would seek a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Megan, is there a second?
I'll second it.
And a second by Donna. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item 5, approval of the minutes. Minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting June 20th, 2023. I would seek a motion if there are no changes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from June 20th, 2023.
Okay, so we have a motion by Kelly, is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Jessica. Any questions, changes? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Then item B, the special Board of Education meeting, June 26, 2023. I would seek a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, a motion by Calandra.
Yes.
Okay, is that a second?
Second.
And a second by Megan. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. And finally, 5C, special board meeting on July 11th, 2023. I would seek a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Ballman.
I'll second.
And a second by Jessica. Any questions?
I abstained from that, I wasn't there.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry with one abstention. Item 6, special presentation. 6A, discussion, seclusion, and restraint report.
Thank you, Ms. Gorman. Act 125 requires an annual board report prior to September 1st on seclusion and restraint, and I'm here to give the board that presentation at this meeting. Seclusion is students, when a student is physically prevented from leaving an area. That's the definition. The definition of physical restraint, that's reducing the student from moving freely, having a student in a very controlled way, basically restrained. We do go through trainings annually in the district, and we have annual trainers that typically present. We have had in the past external coaches or facilitators for the training, which is called Nonviolent Crisis Intervention. It's a training that I've been through several times. It is where you basically look at restraints as a last resort. That's what you're taught, and you're taught to de-escalate situations. So when a student is escalated, you're trained to look for ways to de-escalate that situation in verbal ways, body language, and other ways. Typically, Dr. Pittman gives this report, so I will paraphrase some of her major points. So this Act 125 applies to both students with disabilities and without disabilities, so it's not something that is just specifically for special education students. Some of the procedures, we are required to report incidents that involve law officers or SROs. That's part of the requirement. When we're looking at seclusion, we're not allowed to have locks on any doors and anything like that in here in the district. And any type of maneuver that suggests or would have students lie in a prone position, that's definitely not allowed. We don't do that because that's not safe. So it's restricting, physical restraint, restricting or immobilizing students' body, arms, and basically to keep them safe from themselves and with other students. And it can only be done with trained staff. So some of the data that I'd like to share with you, you can look at the last page of this report. Data for the 22-23 school year. Similar to prior school years, the elementary school has the highest incidence of seclusion and restraints. And then the total number of students, so there were 53 incidents of seclusion and restraints at the elementary school, 1 at the middle school, 2 at the Pride Center. If you look at the number of students involved at the elementary school, those 53 incidents, there were 14 students that were restrained in multiple times then. So then we broke it down with students with disabilities, and you can see those numbers there as well. So any questions or comments at this time? We do have personnel from the elementary school here. If you had comments or questions related to any of the schools, I could take, but elementary school, if there's any additional comments there. So
Megan.
thank you.
How, it's only to be done by trained staff. How many staff in each building are trained on how to do that?
Good question. I don't have that data in front of me.
I can openly speak, most of our instructional assistants and our special ed assistants are trained in special ed teachers. We do encourage our regular education teachers to do it. It really just becomes about if they can make it to the training or not, depending on when that falls. So I would say we at least, I feel pretty confident in the number that we have. As far as admin, I know I am trained, so we're both trained as well. I guess if I could do it like a complete rough estimate, don't quote me on this, but I would say we have at least 30 people within the building that have this training. At least.
And that's just in elementary.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct, so we don't have a number for
The other.
middle
District
school, right?
wise.
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, I can speak from being at the middle school, not last year, but prior. And everyone that wanted to be could be trained. And so most of us that worked with special ed or other, we all took the training at the
CPI.
CPI, yeah. And it was encouraged, and so it was well attended, so.
Good to know.
Megan?
And what's the definition of a prone position?
Lying flat, that's how I view that.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for the report.
You're welcome.
Item 7, the public forum. The public forum provides the public with the opportunity to ask questions about or address issues included on the school board meeting agenda. General operating rules of the public forum will be determined by the board president once the number of people wishing to participate is identified. And at this time, I believe Amy said we had no one signed up. So we will move on to item 8, consent agendas. At this time, I would seek a motion to approve the consent agenda. That is, if nothing needs to be pulled from any of the agendas.
You wanna do all 3 of them, Diane?
Right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve all 3 of the consent agendas.
Okay, we have a motion by Kelly. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And a second by Donna. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item 9, discussion and possible decision on the approval of the monthly voucher list. This time I would seek a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Kelly. Is there a second? A second by Megan. Roll call, please.
Kelly Zebro,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes?
Hanson, I'm sorry, Hermany,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Maple,
Yes.
Stankowski.
Yes.
Flanders Zebro. Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 10, discussion and possible decision of the acceptance of the monthly treasurer's report. So I would seek a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Megan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Amy. Questions?
Just accepting. Accepting, not approving.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, just for the minutes.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Stankowski,
Yes.
Flanders Zebro,
Yes.
Kelly Zebro,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes,
Hermany,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Maple.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
thank you. Item 11, old business, discussion safety update. Did we have anything this month? Jessica, did you wanna?
Nothing.
Negative. All we're doing right now is just waiting to get the dates together. We're waiting on one more potential committee member and hopefully have a date going out shortly for that safety committee in August. So
Okay,
the
and I
sooner-
am working on that one for you, so, okay. All right. Thank you. Item 12, new business. 12A, discussion and possible decision on the acceptance of grant and donation for auditorium curtain. Why do I have that for some reason?
I can speak to this.
Yes, please.
Okay, Emily, at Expressions wrote a grant, and then she's gonna cover the cost that the grant, isn't to cover the full cost of a new curtain, which is on the back of the auditorium. So the check was given to Amy tonight, and then that'll go into, so it's covered, and then it's buying like a new colorium curtain, which is a fancy auditorium. A white, a really big curtain.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any questions? If not, I would need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Kelly. Is there a second?
A second.
A second by Calandra. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item 12B, discussion and possible decision on the approval of the 23-24 board meeting dates. And that is in your packet. And if you see any dates that are not gonna work, or if you need changed, now would be the time to do so. If not, I would seek a motion.
I'm assuming this is just followed. Yep.
Yep,
That's what I thought, so I have no questions.
okay.
Just, I know last year we changed it, just to double check, that Tuesday, March 19th meeting won't fall on our spring break.
Spring break
It
is the
doesn't?
following week.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
going to
Very good.
last week.
All right.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I would seek a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the,
Okay.
board meeting dates.
We have a motion by Kelly, is there a second? Second. Okay, second by Megan. Any other questions? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item 12C, discussion and possible decision on WASB resolutions. So this is just put on every year at this time. The deadline for submitting resolutions is September 15th of 2023.
Anybody feels the need to make any resolutions or want to get them in to WSB? And Kevin would know a lot about that because you sat on the board was it last year or the year before?
Couple of years ago.
So, yeah. If you want one in September 15th, this is it.
Okay. So I would seek a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Amy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item 12D, discussion and possible decision on the approval of the elementary school counselor position. Did you want to talk a little bit about that, Rob? From our,
Sure,
Okay.
so we talked at agenda setting, we have an opportunity here, we have a recent resignation from Kirsten, and in reevaluating job descriptions and needs of our students, we'd like to move in the direction of having more boots on the ground in working with students. And so the administration is recommending that we hire an additional counselor to be working at the elementary school. And what that would do for the district, we'd have in essence then 2 counseling positions to work with students at each of the buildings. We feel this is a high priority area to have students be regulated and to learn how to work with students in a variety of ways. So we feel that this is a great addition for our students.
and you want to talk about how that could be funded as well?
Sure, I can start, and I may hand that off to our business manager,
Okay.
Ms. Brown, as well. So we have an opportunity right now, the state, with their recently approved biennium budget, is allowing for districts to recoup dollars for the hiring of additional mental health services. And there's a specific requirements with that. This can't be something that we can recoup with current staff members. We have to show, okay, this is an addition to the school. And in addition to that, there's specific licensure that we're looking for, that we would need to have to recoup some of the dollars from the state. And so there's two different licensures. One would be the typical school social worker licensure, and the second would be like community counselor as well. So we would certainly, when we post for this position, look to recoup those dollars from the state and to post with those, looking at those licensures. And Michelle, anything else that I may have missed, or anything else you'd like to
No, I
add?
don't think so. We would just be funding it. The funding that Kirsten was under has gone away, and we have these new funding sources that we could use for this position, and it would basically cover the cost from 3 different areas with that, so.
So we don't have to apply for them, it's just already there and.
Some of the money is there. The other, like Mr. Way said, would be your additional cost, and they would look at that if we had that particular licensure of a social worker, then they would compare our current costs for social worker and then what are the increased costs, and we would receive at least 50% of that back. And then we would have the categorical aid, which is 19% of that, because it's 33% of 59%. That piece, and then also Get Kids Ahead initiative is the new funding that is coming through the state. And that would be $60,140 this coming year, $60,140 roughly the next year, and then that drops down to $23,280, but we still have those other pieces of funding.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead, Kevin.
So, I think most of you know that if I could wave my magic wand, we would have eliminated the second nurse position that we added because the funds were provided by an external source 3 years ago. Those dollars are no longer here. We just literally heard that in a couple of years, that the funding is going to go down by about 2/3 for this position. So, not opposed to adding this. I'm almost always opposed to new positions that don't have an ongoing commitment from this board and therefore the community for continuity in the future. You can't rely on the external money all the time. And everything that we're spending that is not going into the classrooms for academics means that it's going for something else. And so I will vote for this, but if I were still on the school board, if I am still on the school board in a couple of years and the funding goes down, I might have the same position that I do about the nurse position. My comments, by the way, about the nurse, the second nurse, has nothing to do with the skill set or the capabilities or even the job and the importance of the job that the nurse is doing. I just have never seen the ongoing necessity for the second nurse who was hired exclusively because of the concerns about COVID.
Right.
So,
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Yes, I share similar concerns, however, we could certainly have the motion to put the position in place so long as we have the near 100% funding and to be reevaluated. So if we have the position, the person, if we hire it, then they know that this is potentially a temporary position.
In essence, maybe putting it like right in the job description.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Good comments, go ahead.
am I gathering that you're close to shared concern is that we don't have, typically we don't put in our normal policies a sunset provision
Correct.
that would automatically eliminate a position if the funding isn't there. And your added concern, which you shared in other areas as well, and I agree with this, actually, is that the memory of the school board and the administration often is short, right? We don't remember unless we have people who remain diligent in these areas. because there's so many other things for us all, including administrators and board members, to be thinking about and worried about. So you would rather see it in the proposed motion.
Correct. I think that is the way to do it, so that our short-term memory for whomever is on the board at that point realizes that the funding may not be there, yet it's not, that the individual in that position also is aware of it on hire.
So long as the motion would not constrain the district, the board, from continuing it,
Yes.
even if the funding isn't there,
Right.
if that is a more important
If it's in
need
the budget
Yes.
than something
somehow,
else.
then absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
But you can also make something like that as a standing agenda item in a certain month, like we did this year, is just put it on in one of the months to reevaluate what positions are grant funded.
Well,
So that it
we-
helps out future board members and new board members as well, look into that.
We did request that, I just don't know that that got done.
I
so
do
that
not
may
think
have
it-
to be
not
for
that I've
next-
seen.
we can
Like a
discuss
grant
that at the end of the
report,
meeting.
how different
Yes,
grants-
grant
The
funded
grant- whatever is
positions,
grant funded.
and maybe adding that to a standing agenda item on our calendar.
Okay.
Okay,
I would never want anybody to lose their job because of the board in administration not properly budgeting. So that is my big concern. I just wanna make sure that we are fulfilling all obligations to the kids, to the staff, and yet the community with the budget as a whole. So just making sure that we're looking at all of those aspects.
Thank you.
yeah, I don't see it on there at all, so something to add. Okay, that's
So you know how the Buildings and Grounds Committee, Building and Finance, has its 10-year plan?
Mm-hmm.
And now instructional programs has its goals list. We don't really have a personnel report, personnel document similar to that, do we?
No, we don't.
And so, this is not a motion, I'm not suggesting I'm gonna go drive this bus in the next couple of months or ever. But if we did decide at the start of the 2024-2025 school year to not have the nurse position, for example.
Right.
I question whether or not our staff would put that position as one of the top 1 or 10 positions that is desired on the part of the district. It sounds like I'm personalizing it with the nurse, I'm not.
Right.
But it's the context that matters.
Right.
You know, what would this district prioritize? I'm sensing that, well, this is the one, it's easy for us to kind of pick this off the tree, because after all, Kirsten's now gone, and we know we have some behavioral and other issues at the elementary school. But are we picking this off easy because Kirsten's gone? Would this really have been the #1 personnel hire in the entire school district? I'm not saying it wouldn't, I'm not even asking for a discussion or a debate about it, but I'm wondering if we went about this in that assessment manner.
Well, I did ask when we met to plan the agenda, and they said it is on the curriculum somewhere within your,
Agreed, and it's
Yes.
even in this document, I
Yes.
understand that,
Okay.
right? But as a curriculum issue, right?
Right.
It's a personnel issue, really,
right,
right?
Diane, may I comment?
sure?
Yeah, several months ago, Ms. Brown and I, with our former HR director, talked in concept to a similar approach, having a more prescriptive or oversight view of just priority areas, not for curriculum, but for hires and for hires that may come from individual buildings. In other words, to have a process. So I just want the board to know this is something administration has been pondering as well. We don't have any formal plans, but it's something, just we had some like-mindedness on that. And Michelle, any other comments related to that at this point?
No. Okay, I'll just make a note of it. Okay,
Excuse me, Diane.
Sure.
Parenthetically, I know that's really out of order, but the document that our committee should have, that listing of all the spreadsheet, if we could make sure that's there next time. So it prompts this kind of discussion at that other committee.
Gotcha.
okay. All right, any other questions? If not, I would seek a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Kevin, is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Amy. Since we have a lot of discussion, I'm just gonna go ahead and say all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jess.
So, but are we approving it as is, or what was the motion?
Just to approve the position as, oh, you wanna add that,
Well,
To be
You could solve it by putting it as a standing agenda.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Are you okay with
Because you're
that?
worried it wouldn't come back.
I think to watch it more on a standing agenda
Yes.
item is gonna be more so for a future board to see than looking back at minutes from 5 years ago.
And we'll look at all of those type of.
We're gonna look
Correct.
at all
Not
of
just
them.
this one,
Right.
all of them.
I mean, you could almost get into a discussion about zero-based budgeting at that point too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, would we have X number of math teachers,
Right.
X number of social study, and all, I mean,
Right,
Right.
I don't think that's where you're going with that, right?
No.
It's just this position.
No, and it's, and it,
No,
well,
all the
it's
ones
mainly
that are grant
grants.
funded.
Grants funded,
Yeah.
yes. And then I do get what Kevin's saying, which I think makes a lot of sense, as far as every committee has kind of like their 10-year,
Yep.
5-year. That we should, as a personnel committee, also have, like, what's number one needs, you
Right.
know, and go through
With
that. We
buildings.
really,
Yep.
then we'll know what we're looking at in the future also.
Right.
What we have to cut or save or go, so I think that's, yeah, a great plan,
Okay.
so. Little bit of work to do yet, but
right.
it'll be done.
Are you okay with as posted, or do you wanna do an amendment?
I'm willing to amend if you're willing to write it.
I'm just,
Think about it and then,
I just don't, to your point, and it's very true, that board memory is short-term. And so I just wanna make sure we're not leaving.
Oh, that it's
a-
referenced in the minutes.
well, then let's put it into the minutes so it is forced to come back that,
Yeah. Okay.
kind of talking through this out loud, that, or thinking about this out loud, that approve the position for the next 2 school years because of the funding,
Yes.
with a review to be done at the June or July 2025,
June.
2026,
School year. Okay.
because it starts this year, right? So it would be 2 years from now.
If
Because
you
this year
want-
it's paid for and next year it's paid for.
Right, but if you need to give someone a notice now.
Okay, you wanna do it the
Right.
next
So
year.
January of
Right.
2025.
January,
Yeah, you wanna do it a year in
2026, sorry.
advance.
January,
Okay.
February.
Okay,
Wanna do it, yep.
Okay,
is that good?
Yep.
Amy, did you catch all that?
Got it.
Perfect, okay.
we gotta just get
Amy,
the
you
right
good with
year,
that?
the right year though.
Yep, we got the right year, it would be a year in advance.
It'd be January of 2025.
5,
Yeah.
This is 23, 24, 24, 25.
Yeah, so it'd have
Yes.
to be in January of 25
25.
for the fall 25, spring 2026 school year.
okay,
If we were to do a non-renewal or decide to continue it with partial grant, the rest
Right.
district funds.
Right.
perfect.
Okay, with that?
Okay, so we
That
do have
puts
a
it out
motion,
there.
and we do have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Item 13, other reports. WASB, Kelly.
All right, I discussed with Amy, there isn't much I did not find. There will be a upcoming fall conference, and the date is not out yet. It looks like November 4th at, the center in Green Lake. So I'll look for more information then, but that's all we have.
Okay, thanks. Item 13B, CISA 9, Donna.
CISA 9 had sent me information on the annual meeting on August 7th, but there is no meeting in July, so there is nothing to report for July.
Thank you. Item 14, future agenda items. So Kevin, I have yours kind of listed, which I'll work out with Rob.
Thank you.
Anybody else bringing something forward in August?
Was that the grant funded positions that you're referring to?
Right.
Okay.
Well, as far as adding to the personnel agenda.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that, but then, if we can, and maybe Christie or whomever, somebody has this already somewhat started, any positions in the district that are grant funded, how much the grant amount is, and how many years that carries on. The funding for those positions. I think that will be a great tool for administrators and for the board.
Okay. We can do that. Anybody else? All right, thank you. Item 15, movement into closed executive session. The board will convene into closed executive session pursuant to section 19.85, paren 1, paren C of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of considering compensation and next steps in the superintendent search, and section 19.85, paren 1, paren G of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of discussing advice rendered from legal counsel.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Kevin, is there a second?
Second.
A second by Jess, roll call please.
Herming.
Yes.
Kaiser.
Yes.
Maple.
Yes.
Stankowski.
Yes.
Calandra Zebro.
Yes.
Kelly Zebro.
Yes.
Bauman.
Yes.
Gorman.
Yes,
All yes.
okay, we'll